All right. Hello, everybody. It's good to have you with us. I believe the computer's saying we're live. We'll have somebody check that out. But it is, can you use awful good in the same
You
sentence?
can't you can't hear in the South.
Okay. Well, it's awful good to be here, and it's awful good to have you here with us. So those of you listening on Power Faith Radio, we thank you so much for being here tonight. And we ask that you'll see a button there on the right. You can come and check out the links, or you can send us a little emoji and a little bit of a tag there if you have any questions. But we appreciate you listening through Power Faith Radio. If you're watching this on YouTube channel, we ask that you go ahead and subscribe to it while you're there and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time a new video goes up, and share this video with all your social media platform. You can go to our Facebook page, A Simple Walk, and find all the links to the class. I'm going to throw one more thing in there. Thank you, Thomas, for checking out. Throw one more thing in if you would like to send a question pertaining to this subject tonight or any of the past subjects of the past classes. Please include which class you're talking about, and you can send that to outreachnoah@gmail.com. And of course, we do get some emails, but some of those are not vocal appropriate. So I'll just leave that right there. Not vocal.
Bless their heart.
Yeah, that's it. So Terry, would you like to greet everybody that's in the Zoom room tonight, and whoever you want to greet?
All righty. Greetings, everyone. Of course, Scotty's down there trying to maintain the engine room. Sometimes he gets a little out of hand and pushes the wrong buttons.
Push the wrong buttons.
The lights go out. Or
yeah, I never saw that on Star Trek or any of those that push the wrong button. Say, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh, there's other things that happened. One of the craziest things. I mean, them being what was it, 24th century, and they didn't have seatbelts in, so they go to. But see, that never made sense anyhow. Oh, never mind. You're gonna get me into Star Trek.
I'm gonna. One of there is a movie. It's kind of a little shove off, if I can call it that, of Star Trek. And there's this one guy that's kind of acting a little dingy. I hope we don't get a tag for saying the word dingy, but he's saying
no, that's a little bitty boat that you take off of a ship.
Okay, he's saying there's a red thingy coming towards the green thingy, and the guy says, "What?" He said, "Yeah, there's a red thingy coming towards the green thingy, and I think we're the green thingy." Talking about a rocket, a bomb coming.
Right. Well,
go ahead.
Back. This is back. What I was going to say is that kind of like you down there messing around with the joking around about that. But you watch some of the old series, they'll do like a hard turn and they're all flying across the bridge, and I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. They have inertial dampers that should keep them from doing that, because inertial dampers keeps them from plastering and being blood spots when they go to warp.
Boy, you got that.
So they got it all twisted right there. So us Trekkies, we have a lot of conversations about different things, but it's all in fun.
Yeah,
it's all in fun. Scotty and I, we have a lot of fun. That we was originally going to set our class up. We originally had backdrops of the bridge and drops of the engine room.
Yeah,
we decided not to do it. We might get in trouble.
Copyright infringes.
Copyright infringements. Yeah. Anyhow, greetings, everyone. We're just having a little fun tonight. And then we have Ronald here, and Amuela's with us tonight. Veronica, where are you at now?
Well, I'm currently driving from Seattle to Monroe, which isn't too far. So, still in Washington, Western Washington.
All righty. Then Thomas and Bob is with us tonight. And of course, we've got Power Faith Radio that's listening to us worldwide from Townsend, Tennessee.
What, foothills of the Great Smoky?
Foothills of that's right. Foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. There we go. I forgot to say it that way. And then we have YouTube channel. Greetings, everyone that's on the YouTube channel watching us live tonight or reruns, kind of like Gilligan's Island here tonight. Oh, hey, we need this midweek break. I mean, down here, I mean, we got notifications in our mailbox how to cook an apple pie, southern apple pie in our mailbox, as hot as it's been down here.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I took a picture this afternoon when I got home. It was of the thermometer. It's in my carport in the shade, and it was right at 100 degrees in the shade when I got home. You know, that's not fun.
No.
It's not fun weather. But anyhow, tonight, greetings everyone. Thank you for outreach, Noah. Tonight we're going to begin chapter 2. We're only going to cover verse 1 of chapter 2 tonight. I did that on purpose because the next week we're going to get into the 7th day. We just finished up. Tonight we're actually going to talk a little bit about finishing up the 6th day that we've been in on our journey. And next week we'll begin the 7th day, and that'll probably be a multiple class. I've gotten already into the studies of it, so it looks like it'll probably be several weeks it will take to cover the 7th day, because we took, I think, 3 classes to cover the 6th day because there was so much there. It's really interesting classes on the 6th day. If you haven't watched it, I really recommend going back and picking up. I think it's part 11, A, B, and C. On the 6th day, there's a lot of good information there of what happened there. And tonight we're going to be talking a little bit more about that as we conclude the creation week. Scotty, you about ready?
I am ready. Okay, we're going to start right off just so we can get right into that one verse. And so, as always, we give tzedakah, a charity for our main teacher, Pesach and Shira Sherbo. They live in Sfat, Israel. And also, the last contact I had with Joanna Flynn Wakehuff, she's recovering from her surgery, but she's having some issues with pain management with that knee surgery. So we want to remember her in our prayers. And then also, I have Wendell and Mary Parsons on our tzedakah list. And Janice Brandon, have you talked to Janice since last week, Ronald?
Yeah, we had a Zoom meeting together. She had a few questions for me last night. She's still having some difficulties, but she looks a bit more radiant over the last week or so than she has prior. But yeah, she's still battling with the pain and sleep. Yeah.
Okay. Also, we got Warwick Marshall on our tzedakah list. I guess I'm going to ask you again, Ronald. Have you heard anything from Warwick?
Warwick is quite difficult to catch up with, so I don't know where he's at with the future operations or anything at the present. I'll have to keep trying.
Okay.
Seemed like he had some another brain tumor operation coming up soon, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He has one of those coming up, but I haven't been able to find out when it's going to happen.
All right. We'll keep him on our tzedakah list. Also, I'm calling them the Three Amigos. Somebody always sends in a dollar apiece for Amuela Asher. This is your dollar going into the tzedakah box, Amuela, and one in for Thomas Shouts. Thomas, this is your dollar going in the tzedakah list, and for Veronica Port. Now, you all can discuss why you all are put in together as the Three Amigos, but there I put you in there, so we appreciate them thinking of you guys every week. And then also, Ronald, how you doing? How's your sister doing?
I'm doing pretty good. As I said, I've got my appointments next week. My sister is still in limbo at the moment, so she's having a lot of really bad days and the occasional pain-free day, but it's not the greatest.
Okay. We're going to keep her on our list and in our prayers. And then also we have on our blessed memory tonight. Please remember our blessed memory list. Maybe you go to a place and you'll see where they're have a charity box out and you can give money with these people's names on it. John Moore, Ethelene Moore, and Daryl Moore. Remember those in this week. John Moore, Ethelene Moore, and Daryl Moore. May this tzedakah go for their merit. Would you help us pray tonight? All right. Hello, everybody. It's good to have you with us. Sorry. Leave the computer.
Saying we're live. We'll have to check that
I
out.
do not know what's going on. Can you? That came in right at the wrong time, didn't it?
Well, folks, I told you there's buttons down there.
That was a button that I was supposed to push and didn't. That was a button that I was supposed to push and did. So where was I at? I was about to pray. You know that's the way it happens. You know that's exactly the way it happens. So I'm going to tell you this cute little story before we pray. Can I tell you this cute little story?
Go ahead.
Most of you know that I'm for years, my wife and I were in full-time evangelism, and we would meet all kinds of people, you know. And I had several great mentors during my young age, starting off in the evangelistic realm. And there was this one, his name was, hold on, Bobby Kelly. Matter of fact, I'm going to give Sadaka for him right now, blessed memory. He told this story about he was needing to pray, and he got down to pray, and in this living room, it was dark, and you know, he had one light on over in the corner, and he got down to pray, and something said, somebody's at that window looking at you. He was right in front of his picture window, and he said, oh, I'm just going to keep praying. And he kept praying. He said, look up, somebody's looking at you. So just for an instant, he stopped and he looked up, and sure enough, there was somebody looking at him. It was his reflection. It scared him to death. So anyway, let's pray. Let's pray. Oh, hear our voice, Adonai, our God, Father of mercy. Have compassion on us and accept our prayers with compassion and favor. For we know that you are a God who hears prayers and supplications. You are our King. Do not send us away empty-handed. Favor us and answer us and listen to our prayers. Amen. All right, Terry, I'm going to put you on speaker view. And
anything we need to tackle into first? It doesn't matter. We can tackle into it later.
Let's see how you go on this, because it may come right into where you're at. Okay.
All righty.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put you on speaker view.
All right. Greetings, everyone. I just out of habit want to say good evening, but it's not evening where everybody's at. It's just evening where Scotty and I are at here, and Thomas here in East Tennessee. So greetings, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us here at Outreach Noah. On the wagon with us as we go on our journey into Genesis, which is primarily chapter 1 through 9, chapter 18, where the majority of our studies will be at in the future. But as I said, tonight we begin chapter 2. We finished up last week where the Creator had said that, let's just go back here where he says he saw that the whole, verse 31, God saw the whole of what he had made, and lo, it was very good. And it was evening, and it was morning, the sixth day. And we discussed a lot last week on what it meant for the whole or all, very good. And also the title of the day that he gave, the sixth day, was a different title than he did the other days. And like I said, you can pick that up in the rerun part of our channel. You can just click it and watch those. But tonight we're going to again be using the Rabbi Hirsch's Chumash here, because again he's going to be discussing basically 2 words out of this passage, but it's full of a lot of information for us. Rabbi Hirsch has this translated as is, thus the heavens and the earth and all of their hosts were brought to their intended completion. If you look at the Hebrew, a literal translation would be, and finished heaven and earth and all of the host, is the literal word for word translation. The first word that he's going to be discussing, we're going to be looking at this word that is translated as finished or completed. and it's translated a lot of times as finished. The root word to that word has two meanings. There's two meanings to the root word that we get in Hebrew, finished or completed. The first meaning is to be destroyed. And then the second is to cease to exist. It means also to reach the highest perfection of existence. As in, the house was completed in every aspect. The house is finished. He goes on and says, a twofold truth lies at the basis of this phenomenon when he said it is finished. For every perfect form of being requires a cessation or a stopping of some form or another. He goes on and says, the root word of the word finish also denotes a striving toward a goal. He says only the fulfillment of a commandment is an all-embracing, all-demanding objective because it brings us the objective to its goal. When you observe a commandment of God, you're bringing that commandment to its completion. You're striving toward a goal. And so he says that the word finished here, which is the very first word of this passage, is va, which is and, vayachul. So finished in our verse means, as it is in context with what's being said, that the heaven and the earth, they were brought to its final goal. So the sentence itself, and finished heavens and earth and all of its host. This verse is the concluding statement of the history of creation. Verse 1 is the concluding statement of the history of creation. It parallels the opening statement. The opening of creation's history shows us heaven and earth and proclaims of them in the beginning. From the very beginning, God created these. Now the conclusion again shows us heaven and earth and proclaims to them finished. Heaven and earth was brought to this completion. They had not always existed, but rather were brought into existence. And before they were brought into existence, they existed as an intention in the thought of their Creator. The heaven and the earth and all of their hosts were at one time merely just a thought in the mind of their Creator, and the actualization of this thought was the purpose of their creation. The cause of their existence of heaven and earth does not lie in themselves. They are not the cause of their having coming to existence, a view of the self-contradictory, irrational, and absurd, which what he's talking about is those people who thinks that things just evolved upon their own selves. Two chemicals come together by accident and created, this came into being. We're going to see that what God is saying here in this passage is the proof that he is the Creator. The cause of their existence lies outside of themselves, and they are not the result of some force working blindly, but the creative work of a lone creator who created them with intention and with purpose, and he brought them to a finishing point, to a completion. The sages define this with the clarity. And it says the matter and the forces with which have been called into existence were in a state of continual development until God said, enough. And he set a limit to their development. Had he not said to the heavens and earth, enough, they would still today be in a state of continuous development. In this passage, thus the heavens and the earth and all their hosts came to a stop. He restrained them, he fenced them in. This is the concluding statement of the creation week. It began with, in the beginning, God. And now God says, enough. It's done. Creation as what he wanted from his mind, his thoughts, now into existence, now moving, now working as a full system of existence that wasn't there. He brought it to a point. He says, it's enough. Stop creating. If he had not, they would still be in continuous development, which we're going to see that here in just in a moment. It's pretty interesting. Scotty, anything?
I do have something, and I wrote this down, and so I know there's a couple of different thoughts on this, so I want to give out a thought, and y'all can discuss on if this is reality or not. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. It was, and then now we come to the time when it's finished. So I remember reading somewhere, and I'm not for sure, and I think this goes along, there's a couple of different opinions, but I want to throw this into this pot, that everything was there in the beginning, and it needed to be molded or pulled apart or put in its place for it to operate correctly.
Yes, several times between verse 1 of Genesis to verse 1, or the verse 1 of chapter 1 to verse 1 of chapter 2. There's plenty of times where we read where God made. Okay. See, when he did Genesis chapter 1, the word bara there, when bara is being used, it's translated as created. When that particular Hebrew word is used, it only is used in the instance where God took something from nothing. He took out of his mind and he made it into existence.
Yes.
That's what the word bara. After that, he uses the word that's translated as made. And sometimes there's another word that's used also as formed. There's two different words there for made and formed, but they are used. But bara is only used to bring something from nothing into existence.
So if I can give an analogy, which this fits my mind somewhat, it's like a builder about to build a house. All the material is dumped in the yard, and then he begins to fashion everything, puts it together in its place to build a house. Is that a pretty good analogy?
That's a good analogy, but can I use a good Southern one? Let me give a good down-home Southern one.
Great.
You got on your counter, you've got flour, you got milk, you got salt, you got pepper, you got shortening or grease. You got all these ingredients, but when you're done, you've got biscuits.
I knew you was going for biscuits and gravy. You got
Hey, I mean, that's what I said, Southern. So I had all the ingredients there in front of me. Of course, I didn't take them from nothing to something. The creator did that.
Yeah.
But all the somethings that he made was the ingredients to
We're using this
everything that he was going to
metaphorically.
make from that point on. He created all the ingredients, all the spices, all the grains, everything that you would need to make something. He created all the ingredients. Then he started working it together, and by the time he got done, he had breakfast.
One of the things, and I've had discussion with a lot of people on this, is now this is how that I don't know if I was taught this, but I don't believe this anymore. But I don't know if I was taught this or it was delivered as an assumption that, okay, the creator made the light, and then he said, well, okay, that's good, but it's missing something. And so then he created the next step. And so, well, okay, that's good, but it's missing something. And then he created the next. And so each thing was him evolving. That's a bad analogy, correct?
That's a bad analogy, yes. We've covered a lot of that in this, where we've gotten from verse 1 to verse 1 to verse 1 in this journey of Genesis,
Yeah.
if you will go watching him. No, it was a progression. But what was interesting is how Rabbi Hirsch brought out it was a progression that when he not only brought light, but he began to bring life. Then the progression, I was sharing this with a guy at work today, that in this progression that he created these plants and he gave them freedom to live, but he put limits. They couldn't move. A tree
They're
is
kind.
a tree is a tree. It doesn't move. Cornstalk is cornstalk, but it has life. They are permitted to grow within their realm to fulfill their mission on earth. And then he progressed further. Then he brought forth the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and the animals. Well, they were given more freedom. They had freedom of movement. This way Rabbi Hirsch brings is freedom of movement. But this freedom of movement was limited within the instincts that he put within them. Then he brought man, and he gave man complete freedom of life, freedom of movement. And man's freedom of movement is based on his actions and the choices and the decisions he makes, where the animals doesn't have that. And so he brought forth life, but each time that life increased. It increased in freedom and movement, and it kept getting more and more until, like what Rabbi Hirsch, the way he put it, and on the sixth day, God made an announcement. Here comes forth the creation's master, who will master and rule the creation.
Okay,
And,
you ready? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I just want to give another position on this. A thought, not a position, a thought. So on day 1, Genesis 1, verse 1, everything that was needed was there. The creator did not have to modify his idea of what he wanted as he went from day to day.
No, he didn't have to modify anything. He had everything already laid out in his thoughts before he even started.
Correct.
Everything that he made was working toward his goal and his will that was already set in place.
Okay, I got it. On that note, on that thought, was let's just take, for instance, the 7 laws of Noah. The laws of species, the law of humanity living, were all those affected and put into place at this time? Were they there?
When we read for the first time that God separated the light and the darkness, he put a boundary. And when you look at the rest of creation, all the way up through what we're reading tonight, everything has boundaries. God, it says that he put everything. Matter of fact, we're going to get into this a little bit here in a minute, but he put everything in its place according to where he wanted it. He gave everything its mission. He gave everything its energies that it needed to develop where he put it and what he made. There was nothing else needs to be improved because it's finished. There's no improving. we develop, he allows us to develop in the realm that he made us. But it's everything that we can be is already there. It's a seed, like you were talking before, it's like an acorn. Everything that oak tree is going to be is contained in that little bitty seed. And it's released. And that's the same thing with humanity. And what we saw, when we were looking at the word very good and all on part 11C of the sixth day, the last class of talking about on the sixth day of very good, of seeing everything as a whole. When we're sitting here and we're looking at our world and we see a lot that's going on, but we don't see it the way God sees it.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, I've used this before. This was actually a class when my wife and I was going down to Atlanta and was visiting a synagogue, and we was going to this particular class, and the rabbi that we was attending the class was out that week, and they brought this other guy. He wasn't a rabbi, but he was a teacher. Oh man, it was good. He was really, really, really good. I've never forgot this lesson. This man's father was at one time the chief rabbi of South Africa. And so he goes, I grew up in an observant home. He said, but when I turned of age, my father told me, he said, you have been raised according to the ways of our people. You've been raised properly as a human being. But now you have reached the age that you're a man and you have to make a decision on how you want to live. So he told him to go and make your decision. So he went and he joined the South African Army. And they put him, the job that he was a spotter. I mean, not a spotter, but he was a sniper. And one day he was setting up, getting ready for practice, sniper practice. And he said all of a sudden he heard his commanding officer hollering his name. And so he went down, came to his officer and in front of him and, saluted, yes, sir, and all that. And the officer called everyone to line up. And so he said they lined up and he had me step forward. And he said, in South Africa, he said, there is this worm that's in the bush. He says, it's big, it's yellow, it's black, it's ugly. But in the bush, you can eat this and not dehydrate. And that's what a lot of people live on in the heat of the summers because it keeps them where you can't get water. You can eat these big old worms and you won't dehydrate. But he says, I'm a Jew. I can't eat that. I don't eat insects. And so he said that the officer was standing there with this thing in his hand, this big old worm. I mean, as big as your hand. He goes, I didn't know what he was going to do. And so all of a sudden he pulls my trousers open. And he drops it down in my drawers. And he told him, he said, you will all day long, you will walk and you will march with this in your drawers. And he goes, why? He goes, what were you doing? He said, I was setting up. I was setting up for, for practice. He goes, what did you do? He didn't know what he had done. He says, what you've done is you went into the field without your spotter. He said, that spotter is your life. That spotter, he says, your viewpoint is this big. All you see is what's down that scope. You don't see what's behind you, what's beside you. You can't hear it. Your spotter is your life. It will tell you what's going on. The spotter will tell you what's going on. Without your spotter, you're dead. And he looked out and over the class. He says, and you need to know something, folks. He says, God is your spotter. You don't have the view of the world the way he does. He said, don't go into the world without your spotter. And so that's kind of like what we were talking about when God said all in in verse 31 of the last chapter, and all was very good, that's because he's the spotter. He saw the whole thing. He sees the whole thing. He sees what's going on, and it's very good because he sees it all. But you and I, we sit here and we see murmurings and we see wars and we see, protests and buildings burned. We see a lot of the negative and a little bit of the positive, but our spotter sees it all. And just like this gentleman said, don't go into the world without your spotter or you'll die. So I tie that into what God is saying between the sixth day and or verse 31 of chapter 1 and verse 1 of chapter 2. God is our spotter. He sees it all. He says it's very good. Where we have limited tunnel vision of the world. I hope that helped out there. Scotty, you're muted. You went and pushed the button again.
I pushed the button there. So I want to throw in something Anuela put in there, which is great. So everything was growing within their DNA or their blueprint.
Yes.
So, okay.
I hope that story that he gave it was a real true story, because he was the soldier that walked around with a worm in his britches all day because he went to the field without his spotter.
I bet he went with his spotter the next day.
Oh, he did. So I've never, that's been 2010-ish, 2011 when I heard that story. I've never forgot it. It was a really, really good lesson.
All right, I'm going to put you back on speaker view.
All right, so we see here that the Creator, if he had not said to the heaven and earth that it's enough, it would still today be in continuous development. So here the word finish means to stop, to restrain, and to fence in. He goes on, he says, the ending of creation. The ending of creation. The cessation of formation. That's almost a tongue twister when you're from the South and you got a partial in. The cessation of formation of new creations, in a word, the present Sabbath of creation is a greater revelation of the Creator than the very existence of heaven and earth. I want to read this again. The ending of creation, the cessation of formation, the stopping, the ceasing of formation of new creations. In another word, the present Sabbath of creation, which Sabbath means to cease, which we'll be seeing as we get into next week's class. The Sabbath or Shabbat or Shabbos, it's in Hebrew, means the ceasing of creation. But he says the present ceasing, the present Sabbath of creation is a greater revelation of the Creator than the very existence of heaven and earth. The fact that he stopped creation from continually forming is a revelation of his being. If, as the materialistic outlook on the world has taught throughout the ages, the origins of the world was due to physical causes not founded on thought or free will, if the world originated from forces of nature that are inherent in the world, why then has there been a Sabbath in creation for thousands of years? Why has there been a stopping, a ceasing of the creating force for thousands of years? Why have these forces ceased to function and to produce with great power new creations? Why has the cause which still exists ceased producing the effect? What has put an end to its creative power? We see that for generations upon generations, creation has ceased and Sabbath has reigned in the world. And what he's talking about, not the Sabbath day, he's talking about Sabbath, as the word Sabbath means, ceased. The ceasing of creation has reigned in the world for thousands of years. This teaches us that the present Sabbath, or the present ceasing, was preceded by a purposeful, all-powerful, creative activity, and that the universe is not a physical result of blind forces of nature, but a moral work of a creator endowed with supreme wisdom, free will, and unlimited power. He says, let us note that this all-powerful limit setting, attesting to the creator and the master, is inscribed not only on creation as a whole, but in the details of creation. Our sages, the sages of Israel, takes us around the separate spheres of creation and shows us their diversity and the many different kinds within one species. The manifold formation and the development sharply differentiated one from another. And these two reveal the Creator's sovereign hand, setting measure and limit. Look at the heavens. Rabbi Hirsch says, there is a star that completes its circuit in 12 months. There is a star that completes its circuit in 12 years. There is a star that completes its circuit in 30 days. And there is a star that completes its circuit in 30 years. And there are stars that complete their circuit in 480 years. Look at the earth. How varied are the different species of plants, and yet how regular are their laws. Everything in heaven and earth testifies it's finished. A free will mind and a free almighty will rules over us, restraining us within certain limits and thus making us what we are. It is finished. Everything is limited in size and purpose. Everything has received its allotted measure of material and energy and has been assigned its time of development within its own kind. Were it not for the Creator who assigns purpose and measure through his will and his sovereign power, had only the blind forces of nature prevailed, the world would not have materialized, and there would not even be one spike of straw that would have emerged. Thus, it is finished protests against the materialistic world and view that denies the existence of a free creator. It is finished attest to the creation of the world by a free and wise Almighty God. And Scotty's disappeared. And that's only one word out of the verse. See how much power is in understanding the Hebrew of what is going on and what is being said in the awesome Torah that God gave Israel, that we now have the opportunity to learn the truth. So many of us was raised, in belief systems that made things up because of translation, because they didn't know what was actually being said. But we can see here that the word finished in verse 1 it is the bookend to creation. Creation started, creation stopped. And because this has been this way for thousands of years, this is a testament to a creator God. That's the creator, because it stopped. We have had a Sabbath of creation, or a ceasing of creation, for thousands of years. And if it was the other way around, creation would have just kept, or not even, it wouldn't have been called creation. It was whatever was happening would just still be happening, but it's not. Now, anything before I move on to the next word? Okay, we good? All right, let me get me a sip here. This excited me. I don't know if you could tell that. Okay. Now we're going to look at this in all of their host. The very end of it, all of their host, because this is I actually learned something when I was looking into this, because I hadn't really got into this word before in the past. I've read through it, but you know how you read something, but then you go back and you study it. It's two different things. And all of their host, the term host is employed also in the context of peace. He goes on and says, the Jewish nation, while at peace, was encamped around the dwelling place and was counted in the terms of host. They were the host. The Levites serving in the sanctuary is called legion or host. Women who are gathered together with their gifts are called, in Exodus chapter 38:8, are called host. He says the basic meaning of the word host, or of this word, is host. He goes, this is where it gets interesting. Not every gathering of a multitude constitutes a host. This is where I learned something as I was studying this word out. Not everything gathering as a multitude constitutes a host. Remember, Israel was a host around the dwelling place in the wilderness. The Levites in the sanctuary singing together is considered a legion or a host. In Exodus 38, the women gathering their gifts were called a host. So, but not every gathering of multitudes considering a host. The term host, this Hebrew word term host here, look at it. It's just 3 letters here. It's Sava. It's Sadi Beit Aleph, Sava, or Sabaim, as host is plural. But the Hebrew term for host is applicable only to a multitude that it obeys the will of one person. This person has control of the physical and the mental energies of all individuals in the host for the duration of their service. Thus, the mind and the will of the commander makes the multitude into a host. So when all these people were gathered, they were the host of God. When Israel was gathered around the dwelling place, the Levites in the sanctuary, and the women gathering for their gifts. A host is a multitude of people that obey the mind and the will of a single individual. Metaphorically, the multitudes of the host may be regarded as a body serving their commander, whose mind and will they obey. He goes on, all things created in heaven or on earth constitute together as one great host, whose center point is the creator and the master, its Lord and its leader. Everything. See, remember, those who's been around a while, we've talked about, and we can go back and look at it again, when idolatry entered into into humanity, was during the generations of Enosh, when they began to serve the servants of God, which was the planets and the stars. And so we see here that the things that God created in the heavens is considered a host because they're serving him. And Rabbi Hirsch says he stations everything at its post. Scotty, remember boundaries when we were talking about a while ago? The Creator stations everything at its post. All things are to perform their assigned task, each in its proper place, each with the powers given especially to it. The overall plan is in the mind of the leader. Each creature completely fulfills its mission only if it carries out the part that was assigned to it. The law of kind, the law of species. No one, great or small, stands in his station by his own authority or for his own self. We all belong to the one great host of God. His is the greatness and the power and the insight. The one great host of God. He is the read the sentence. He is the greatness and the power and the insight and the will and the command. Ours is the obedience, the diligence, the faithfulness, and the toil. No one has the right to arrogance. The greatest achievement of an individual is but a fraction of the whole. But even the smallest of his deeds is not lost, nor are they overlooked, provided that he faithfully carries out their order of the one great commander. The smallest detail does not escape his sight, and nothing is superfluous or insufficient in the divine plan, because we are all the host of God. Go ahead, Scotty.
Aren't you glad I didn't hit the wrong button?
That's all right. We're used to it.
Yeah. So
I'm going to get you a new set of dilithium crystals.
yes.
We're going to get color-coded ones so you can.
You think that's going to work? I'm colorblind.
Oh.
So Terry, a great presentation tonight, because it gives us, someone sent me a couple of different texts on it was Bob, by the way, not Bob there, but Bob over
Other
here.
Bob.
Other Bob. And he said, wow, to know that everything that the Creator created was in his thoughts from the beginning. Just to realize that gets, because sometimes we are taught by religion to limit the Creator, that he comes up with these ideas as everything grows and happens and
Right.
then decides, well, I guess I better do this. And so he's referring to here on this next little area class we did sometime back, that that even pertaining to the Jewish people, that wasn't an afterthought. That was from the beginning. And even as we are born where we are at, that's not an afterthought or a circumstance or a happenstance or any of those stances, but that we were even, everything was in that thought process from the beginning.
It's like what Rabbi Hirsch, I love what he put here. He stations everything at its post.
Stations everything at its post.
He stationed all of humanity. See, the humanity in itself, the largest part, excluding Israel, because they are separated. And that's in the Torah as well. They became separated from the nations, like God separated woman from man. He separated them. He placed them in a station, a special place. He called them the chosen to be his priesthood. But the largest part, and I love this, is what one rabbi says. He said, but the largest part of God's creation is the rest of humanity. And he's placed us all in our stations where he wants us to serve his will. They're not greater than we are, even though they're the chosen. That doesn't mean they're greater. They're chosen for a mission. And so he placed them in their station, and then he places us in our station. Yep. No difference than he places a cat in its station and a turtle in its station and a dog in its station, but none of them are greater than the other because they're all part of his will, part of his plan.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with us. Humanity has a mission and a purpose that he has given us. We're not left out. We're not second thought. We're not second best. There's some people who want to say, oh, well, we're just the second best. No. Like one rabbi said, you were here first, because God didn't bring Israel about till about 26 generations later after Adam. But he thought of them because in the creation week, when we were teaching the creation week with the luminaries, he said he gave them signs for festivals, in which he did not mention any festivals until Israel.
Yeah. Veronica's got her hand up.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just thinking about that saying, there's nothing new under the sun. This kind of brings a whole new meaning to that.
Yeah.
Yep. There's nothing new. Even in man's humanity, with everything that we go through in our history, there's nothing new to it. We're all repeating something that we've all done before, generations earlier. But yeah, that's the beauty of what we've been learning this week of the Creator. And now this one little bitty verse, this bookend to end of the beginning. In the beginning, we started. Now we're at it's enough. It's finished. Creation is finished. It's complete. Now we move over, because as Rabbi Hirsch calls the Sabbath, as far as the ritual religious part of it's given to Israel, like I said, 26 generations later, it's the eighth day of it's the eighth part of creation. It's something. It's not that it's new and it's out of some. It's there's a special thing about the Sabbath, and it's going to be wonderful to learn. And it's not what a lot of people think as far as toward all of humanity. Israel has its part and we have our part. And I've got a really good article here by a rabbi that tells us our role in creation that I'll get into as we study the seventh day. I'm going to read this parts of this article from Rabbi Friedlander talking about the role of the Gentiles within the creation. And he brings out some amazing, wonderful, wonderful things about us and our work for God on a worldwide basis. It's really cool. Looking forward to getting into that it's going to be part of our study of the next day.
All right.
Now, Thomas said he wants some biscuits.
Thomas did say he wanted some biscuits, and so all right, good deal. Yeah, you made everybody. I was afraid you was going to go into details on creating those biscuits, because if you went into details, all the cameras would have went off, and
everybody would have went to the kitchen.
Yeah, so.
It's interesting. Years ago, before there was any of this, guys, there was Yahoo Chat. And I got involved with Yahoo Chat in a couple of areas. I originally did it to try to find people I'd went to school with, because I lived 4 hours away from where I went to school. And I was trying to find people I had gone to school with that I hadn't from. And that was the reason I even joined Facebook. Same purposes. And I was in some Yahoo Chat, and my screen name on that Yahoo Chat and also on Skype was Biscuits and Gravy. That was my screen name. And I had this lady from Australia. She emailed me, because this is back in, like I said, Yahoo Chat. So you email each other. So she emailed me and asked me what in the world was Biscuits and Gravy. So I sent her some pictures. I emailed her some pictures and a recipe, how to make both. And she emailed me back and she goes, "We've missed out down yonder here." She made it and fell in love with it. She's like, what are y'all hiding this from us for?
So when I was, I don't know, I guess I was 7, 8, something like that. My biological father was a truck driver, and he would show up from time to time with people that he picked up off the street that was hungry, that was traveling. Trucks back then picked up people, and of course, I don't know if that goes on now. We're talking,
70s,
yeah,
60s.
Some years ago. So anyway, he come in, and here was this young couple that was traveling, and they hadn't been able to shower for a while, and they hadn't eaten for a while, and so I was looking like, wow. So my mother took them to the bathroom and told them, "You can shower in here." She gave them something to put on after they get through showering. She took all their clothes and washed them and repacked them. But I remembered this. What made this so great was what she fixed was biscuits and gravy for them to eat, because it was quick and there was a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a southern delicacy.
Yeah. And they eat.
And if you got a lot of people to feed, you're going to fix that.
You're going to fix that. And I remember, it's making my mouth water just thinking about it. But the smell, it was like 11 o'clock at night. But by the time they got through eating, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And he was going to take them back to the truck stop for him to get a ride. And when they was leaving, they said, "Man, I'm so full I can't hardly move." And so, but I remember that, staying up and just. I don't remember a lot of the discussion. There was a lot of laughter going on, but the biscuits and gravy was. I'm smelling it right now.
Well,
I'm going to have to go get my wife to make biscuit and gravy. Thank you, Terry.
Well, Saturday mornings is when we got together as a family, and Mom cooked that every week, and then twice a year she fixed chocolate biscuits and gravy.
Oh, there you go.
And so as a treat, and so that was our family meal. Every week that was our family get together, because everybody was off work. We were at home. We were out of school. And so that's what Mama fixed. And we all got around the table. And it was kind of like, if you ever watch Blue Bloods, how they end around at the table at the end of every episode. That was every Saturday morning for us. And we'd have family, we'd have friends over, and people that worked for Mom and Dad, because Dad was a business owner. They would be there as well. But that was our weekly thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Terry, I'm going to bring us to a close. We appreciate everybody staying with us tonight and listening to the teaching. And we know that a lot of people are going to, as soon as we sign off, they're going to pull out their cast iron skillet and start rolling up some biscuits and
just join us around the table.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that's just to throw this out there, guys. If you're looking for a place to kind of fellowship stuff, it's not as busy as it used to be. There's a group on Facebook called NOG, Don't Hide Online Gathering. Miss Nancy, who's passed away about 5 years ago or so, she created the group with this intention. If you look at the group picture, it's a group picture of people getting around the table and sitting and eating, sharing a meal, and that's what that group's all about. It's not about all this, discussions of politics and religion. It's about coming together. And that's kind of what Scotty and we do a little bit here. Let's come around the table, join together, learn a little bit.
She set up actually the first Noahide gathering that was done in this area.
Yeah.
In Gatlinburg. And she didn't get to be there.
She passed away 2 weeks, I think it was before the event.
Yes. And it was great. It was great. So Thomas said, "Is it nog.com?" No, it's a
Facebook page.
Yeah, Noahide Online Gathering.
Noahide Online Gathering. There's quite a few members, 900,000 members, 900 to 1,000 or so in there. And every Sunday we get together on YouTube and have just a chat.
You mean on Zoom?
About the weather. It might be about what's going on in the news. It could be about mowing the yard.
You meant on Zoom?
And whatever Andrew's got out there on the smoker is probably going to be about smoking some pork chops or some ribs.
You meant on Zoom, didn't you, Terry?
Yeah, on Zoom.
You too.
He has
Yeah.
on Sundays. He posts a link where we
12
just
noon.
get together and just chat.
Yeah.
So it's
All
a fun,
right.
fun little time to let your hair down and just relax. And
Thank you, Terry. I thank all.
well, except for Scotty, he refuses to let his hair down. He's defiant.
So I was standing somewhere today and somebody's looking at me and I seen them looking at me and I thought, what are they looking at me like that for? And so this lady come over with a pair of scissors and I thought, what is she going to do? And she said, I'm sorry, sir, but you missed a hair. She went click. And everybody just started dying laughing. So anyway, I thought it's kind of funny. So, but she was going.
That's hilarious.
Everybody, we thank you for joining us on Power Faith Radio. Come back next Wednesday, and we appreciate it. And then those of you that's joined us on YouTube, share this video with all your social media platform, and as you share it, ask them to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And you can find all of our links and information on a Facebook page called A Simple Walk. And then I know Veronica's Facebook page, Simply Noahide, is just blowing up, man. It's just blowing up. You know, since she's a well-known author
and traveler
and a traveler, and she's working on her second book. We don't know when that's going to come out, but I've heard she's working on her second book, and I can't wait till that comes out. I actually loaned somebody your book this week, Veronica, and I loaned it to them on Monday, and then I went out there to work on Tuesday night, and the lady said it is mind blowing. It's extraordinary. So, and I'll tell you something she said. She said her soul resonated with it.
Oh.
So anyway, it's like it. You know, when your soul starts getting fed proper information, your soul will resonate. So she said her soul resonated with it. So she said, I may not get it back. So,
hey, we know the author. We'll get you another one, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll buy you another one.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, y'all have a good week.
You too.
Bye bye.
We're not gone yet. I hit the wrong button. We're not off yet. Nobody's. I'm trying to get nobody. Nobody's saying that. I've hit the wrong button.